Hello friends, and welcome to this pick a card message on what lurks in the shadows, what is waiting for us in the dark for us to face, whether this is a challenge, a foe, an obstacle that's standing in the way of our progression, or something that's waiting there for us to help us in that progression. Whatever the case, this was inspired by how, as we're transitioning into the fall here where I'm at when I'm recording this reading is timeless, so it doesn't really matter when you watch it, but it was inspired by how the night is longer during the fall, and so the darkness prevails for longer. And it's not so much that, again, darkness is something bad or something to be feared, but it does shroud what we are capable of seeing. And so I wanted to tap into whatever energy there was to be tapped into to kind of see what it is that we now need to see, what it is that is being shrouded by darkness, and again, that we just now need to see. And so here I've just kind of been lingering on the 4 cards so that you can see them better, the 4 markers here. Again, like I said, this reading is timeless, so it doesn't matter when you watch it, it applies when you watch it. And I also do want to mention just a little note that there is no correlation, no relationship between the markers and the readings themselves. I really do just shuffle the deck, pick 4 cards, and those are the 4 markers chosen. I don't use the markers as a start off point for any of the readings. That's just how it goes. But yeah, when you're ready, go ahead and go down to the description where the timestamps are, and then you can pick your reading, go through to it there. Hello and welcome to your reading. This is for those of you who were drawn to the Page of Pentacles. And I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for tuning in with me for this message on what lurks in the shadows, what's there in the darkness waiting for you. And it's not meant to be creepy, it's not meant to be a scary thing, it's just more so that a lot of the times we need a little help in seeing what's there for us to acknowledge, what's there for us to address that might be hindering our growth or impeding on what it is that we're trying to do. And I also want to say that I do struggle with these cards a little bit because they're huge, they're really big, they're a lot bigger than the other cards that I'm used to working with, and so I do struggle to kind of lay them out flat. Please don't make fun of me. We have here the 9 of Wands, beautiful. The Knight of Wands reversed directly attached to that, okay. We have the 4 of Cups there in the center, very important. The Wheel of Fortune, nice, a major. And we're finishing off with the King of Wands reversed, very nice. So with 3 of the cards being Wands cards, we're immediately pointed towards this idea of what's lurking underneath the surface. Has to do with your fire, whatever that means for you. So it can mean, your passions or, your inner fire, how motivated you are, how good of a self-starter you might be. Or it can be just like power you command, just the attention that you command when you come into a room. Things of that nature, things that have to do with like your energy, your core energy, that fire within you that kind of fuels you forward. So again, motivation, passions, power. And with the 2 bookending cards, on one hand we have the 9 of Wands, and the 9 of Wands is almost 10, so this gives the idea of it being a lot of an abundance of wands, passion, fire, power. So you have an abundance of power, an abundance of fire here on one end. And at the other end we have the Master of Wands, the King of Wands. He's coming up reversed, and I'll get to the reversal in a second, but I want to talk first about the fact that you have the King on one end, the Master of Wands, and the abundance of wands at the other end. What this tells me is that you naturally are very good, or let me rephrase that, you are good at naturally creating this abundance for yourself. Whether, again, that's that motivation, you're a good self-starter, like I said. If somehow your power is diminished, if someone says something that gets to you, and you let it get you down for a bit, you're really good at getting yourself back up. If you lose interest in one passion, you're good at finding another one. Again, generating this fire for yourself, that's something that you're good at doing naturally. The rest of this spread points towards you then being a provider of this thing that you are naturally generating. This thing that you are naturally creating is creating something for other people that they are benefiting from, and that you aren't benefiting from so much as you are just providing it and other people are benefiting from it. So the Knight of Wands here reversed next to attached to the Abundance of Wands, it kind of looks like he's coming to take from that abundance, even though he has that himself. He's a Knight of Wands, and so he's on his way to becoming a master himself. And instead of honing that capacity and instead of taking advantage of what he's learned, he's coming to take from what you have going. It's sort of like, it gives the idea of it being someone kind of lazy or maybe even ungrateful. One kind of example that comes to mind is you helping someone. This is just one example. You coming, having this agreement with someone where you are helping them in this thing that they need help with because you have the resources. This can be, if you want a mundane example, you agreeing to bring someone lunch to work every day for whatever reason because they can't cook for themselves or whatever. And it was cool because you had the time, you didn't mind, you like cooking for other people. But lately, they've stopped saying thank you. And they might have even gotten comfortable criticizing the way that, you prepare your meals. And so now you're starting to wonder, why the hell you even bothered to do this in the first place? It's like, well, if you're criticizing, you obviously have opinions, you can do this yourself. That's just one idea, though, just to give you what I'm seeing with the Knight of Wands reversed coming attached to this abundance that you are generating. There's also this idea of this someone being less mature than you, so this can be literal, like someone younger than you, or just someone who doesn't understand what they're doing, but you do. In the center of the spread, there's the Four of Cups. 4 is about stability, a foundation, and cups are about emotions. So, emotional stability. And that's important, obviously, because it's in the center of the spread. I think we all want that, right? But it coming up here in the center of the spread tells me that this is something, well, one, that this is what this reading is about, your emotional stability. And if you don't feel like you have it, it's because other people are essentially robbing you of it. And yeah, sorry, I took a pause there because I'm getting ahead of myself with the robbing of resources. But yeah, the Four of Cups points to this thing that you want and that you can create for yourself, because it's in the middle of that whole process that I'm seeing between the Nine of Wands and the King of Wands being this thing that you can generate for yourself. Well, because you can generate this wealth for yourself, naturally, what comes with abundance, with wealth, is stability. But because this thing that you are generating naturally is more so for other people are taking advantage of it, you don't get to benefit from it. And so because you don't get to benefit from the abundance you're generating, you don't get to benefit from the stability attached to it. But other people do. And why I keep saying other people's, yes, because of the Knight of Wands coming to take from the 9, but also because I'm seeing the 4 cups reflected in the 4 figures balanced on top of the figure on the ground in the Wheel of Fortune. And I'm seeing you as this figure on the ground, providing stability and a foundation upon which other people can have the abundance you're generating and the emotional stability that abundance provides, that abundance makes possible. And it's like you're not entirely opposed to this, because we have the King here, and the King recognizes the responsibilities upon his head. But then it coming up reversed turns this responsibility into a burden. It's the King of Wands is very happy. I mean, it's very expressive element, fire. So the King of Wands would naturally be a very expressive person, very joyous for the most part when they're in a good mood, but just very expressive is what I'm trying to get across. Reversed, then, this is someone who is repressed, someone who stifles their energy, and someone who, again, is weighed down by the burden of that responsibility. That responsibility, again, probably being all of this stuff that you're providing. So you might be like a breadwinner. You might actually be in a position where you are responsible for someone who you have to take care of, who can't really do things on their own. And if that's true, this is pointing to you needing to reapproach this whole process of what you can naturally what you can naturally create and how you dispense it. So there might need to be a reevaluation of the way that you do things. You might need to prioritize giving this wealth, this stability to yourself first, and then figuring out how to dispense that out in a way that doesn't rob you of what's naturally, rightfully yours. And if it isn't true, if you aren't attached to anything you have to stay around for, then you are being reminded here to kind of get out of there, because you don't need to be providing so much for people who aren't really reciprocating it. Because if it was reciprocated, you wouldn't feel burdened by this. You wouldn't feel stifled or repressed. Because you can naturally create this, you probably want to provide. You probably get something from providing for people. But is it providing still what it was before, or what you thought it was and it never really has? Whatever the case, whether this is a responsibility you can't entirely leave and so you have to reassess all of this, or whether this is something you can walk away from, the message is that you need to remind not only yourself but those around you that everything provided, the stability and the abundance, is yours first and foremost, because you are creating it. So this might be about you having a bad bitch moment and, getting up and being like, look, I'm gonna take me and what I have with me, and we're going to readdress, reapproach, redefine how it is that we're doing this thing that we're doing, so that you feel empowered, so that you feel taken care of, so that you feel like you can take advantage of your natural gifts, of your natural talents, your natural capacity to create this abundance of wands, this abundance of fire, of power for yourself, and the stability attached to that. If all of that feels heady, this is general reading, I can't give you specifics unless I'm reading for you. If you want more details, if there's something, you want to get into, reach out. Let's do a reading together. I hope it helped. Bye. Hello and welcome to your reading. This is for those of you who are drawn to the Seven of Swords card. And I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for tuning in with me for this message on what lurks in the shadows, what's waiting there for us in the dark for us to acknowledge and for us to face. It's not meant to be scary. It's not meant to be a dark and horrible thing. More, it's rather something that's hindering our growth, that's pretty much standing in our way. And I also want to say that these cards are a lot bigger than the ones I'm used to handling, and so I do struggle to lay them out flat. Please don't make fun of me. But yeah, here we have for you the 10 of Cups reversed, the 2 of Cups, nice, the King of Pentacles in the middle, the 4 of Pentacles reversed, okay, and the Knight of Swords reversed. So there's this idea of patterns of behavior that are rooted in something that happened in the past and how it's affecting your relationships today. Pretty textbook stuff, right? I don't think you need cards to reveal that to you. Or if you're not aware of that, then there might be some normalized behavior. But there is also this idea of this whole concept that I'm talking about, how something that happened in the past is kind of tainting the way you're looking at relationships and people in general, and that causing you to settle in your present and in the way that you're doing things. So right off the bat, the whole idea of you settling for less than what you are worth, I'm getting from the movement from the 10 of Cups down to 2, from a king down to a knight, and from the King of Pentacles down to the 4 of Pentacles. So there's this idea of downgrading as you move from left to right in the reading. So right off the bat, I just wanted to get that imagery and symbolism across to you. But this idea of the pattern of behavior that I'm talking about, I see in the reversals. We have first the 10 of Cups reversed. And the 10 of Cups upwards speaks of the ultimate emotional gratification. More than a wedding, more than a happy family, more than the white picket fence, the traditional idea of happiness. The 10 of Cups speaks of understanding the entire emotional spectrum. From the highs of happiness and ecstasy down to like depression and anger and rage. If I don't think rage and anger are, I'm not trying to negate these emotions. There's no negative emotions, but I'm just trying to, give you this idea that the 10 of Cups is about all of the emotions and you having an understanding of all of it and not being kind of thrown whenever you are swaying heavily towards one of these emotions. Reversed, then, it speaks to this concept of you having that understanding of these emotions. It throws it all over, and instead there's a mess, there's havoc, you're an emotional wreck, essentially. So it's not saying that the 10 of Cups reversed isn't calling you an emotional wreck. It's rather pointing to an emotional wreck that occurred in your past. Now, again, because it's in the first position, the very first card, this can indicate that this is a very old wound from your childhood, from, early life. Something that was formative to how you came to understand people, yourself, the world. If not that far back, then it is something in the past. So it could be like, your last heartbreak, your last huge disappointment. Again, just the 10 of Cups here in the first position points to an emotional disappointment, an emotional wreck there in the past. It's up to you to figure out which one that is or how many, or what that is. The next reversal is the 4 of Pentacles reversed, which the 4 of Pentacles upwards, 4 is stability, a foundation, and Pentacles are the material realm, money, behavior also. And so it's this upwards, it's the stability in how we are here in the physical realm. So it can again be wealth, or it can be just a stability in how, like a structure, we are well structured in how we live our lives, successful even. So this comes attached to the King of Pentacles. So again, you do have this stability, but the 4 of Pentacles reversed negates the stability of the King of Pentacles. And again, I'll kind of get back to the King of Pentacles in a second. I'm talking about the reversals right now and how that's pointing me to this idea of this pattern of behavior. I'm seeing the 4 of Pentacles reversed, the lack of stability, to contrast the King of Pentacles as a reflection or an echo of the 10 of Pentacles, the 10 of Cups reversed there at the beginning. That huge disappointment in the past is echoing today in your lack of stability, in your lack of foundation. And the Knight of Swords reversed points to these other people. It can be an individual, but it can also be just how you are looking at people, or rather the people that you are surrounding yourself with, the people that you are attracting. Both can be true, or either one. Now, again, that pattern of behavior. Now, to get to the 2 upwards cards, the Two of Cups, I know I called it a downgrade from the Ten of Cups, but the Two of Cups is in no way a negative card. The Two of Cups is, in essence, besides the Lover's card, the Two of Cups is the card of soulmates. In fact, I would argue that the Two of Cups is more a card of soulmates, of romance even, than the Lovers. But here, yeah, I saw it as that downgrade, but here I'm seeing it attached to the King of Pentacles, attached to this stability that does exist despite that lack of stability that I'm talking about in the Four of Pentacles reversed. I'll get to that in a second. So the Two of Cups I'm seeing as your way of relationship building, your way of bonding with other people, because it's a soulmate card and it comes attached to the card I'm seeing representing you, the King of Pentacles. And the way that you relate to other people, the way that you hold the cup and hold it up to another person, Two of Cups, is directly attached to that huge emotional disappointment of the past, again being reflected in the Ten of Cups reversed. And because you are letting that past thing, you're letting that, it filters, it's like a filter through which you are seeing and behaving and making decisions in your relationships, whether this is like how you make friends, how you relate to your family, or how you are in your love life. All can be true. One of these can be true. I don't know. Up to you. And so that's what's causing that lack of stability. That comes in contrast to who the King of Pentacles is. Now here is this is a really interesting thing here, because the King of Pentacles represents Taurus. Now, I'm not saying you're a Taurus. I'm not trying to say that, the people involved in this, what this reading is touching upon, can be a Taurus. If that's true, cool. If not, don't latch on to that fact. All that tells me, or rather, all I'm remembering about the Taurus reference in this card is that Taurus is excellent at representation. Sorry, not representation, presentation. Taurus is good at presentation, what they present. And you might be really good at presenting this front of having it all together, being very stable, being even like really, I want to say wise, but it's like you have a really good head on your shoulders. Despite that, you are still affected by those unaddressed, unhealed disappointments, emotional disappointments in the past. And because of that, you surround yourself with people who don't require any huge emotional commitment, or who don't really need anything from you. It's easy for you and them to come and go as you or they please. But at the root of who you are, you want stability, because you are stability. You are the King of Pentacles. And although I'm calling this card a presentation, rather, of that stability, it is still stability. Like, the King of Pentacles is always going to be stability. That it's coming attached to this representation of lack of stability tells me that there might be a lot of stability in a lot of aspects of your life. You might be really content in parts of your life, but when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to the people that you are surrounded by, or the lovers that you attract, it's people who don't want to stay, who don't want to commit, who don't really need anything from you, and so who don't want to give anything to you. And maybe that's been comfortable in the past, again, because of those emotional disappointments in the past, that you don't want to experience that again, and so you surround yourself by people who that's not a risk with. But in order to have the stability that you naturally crave as the King of Pentacles, and as someone who, you have the Two of Cups upwards, so you do have this bright outlook on love. You do want to extend your chalice out to someone else and have it reciprocated, have it met. But in order to do that, you do have to run the risk of getting hurt. Not because that's always going to happen, but because knowing another person, being in communion with other people, is naturally going to come with times, instances where they're going to say some shit, do some shit that you're not going to be totally cool with. And yeah, you have to gauge in those moments whether this is something that, you know, is going to blow, you know, it's too bad that you don't want to continue with this person, or it's something that you can live with, something that you can forgive, something that you can work through. I don't know. Case by case kind of situation there. But my point is, the Knight of Swords reversed attached to the Four of Pentacles reversed speaks to there not being any stability, because there's no, the people who you are surrounding yourself with, you can't build that with them. You're trying to build stability where it isn't possible. You're waiting for it where it'll never come. It's left. They left. They don't want to stay. That was the whole point. And so now, in order to build that stability, you have to go and correct that disappointment in the past. If that points to nothing, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm okay with my past, I've come to peace, I'm at healing terms with all of that. Cool, great. Did you get there too fast? Is there something there that you can see now as you are today because you've grown wiser than the person you were when you healed? And maybe when you healed, you did so in a way that that's all you could do in that moment. But now, as you've grown older, wiser, bigger in capacity, maybe there's something there that you need to revisit in order to readdress and reassess as you are today. And in doing that, you free yourself of that disappointment, free yourself of the way that it taints today, taints your relationships, taints the ways that you are making decisions. And when you are no longer latched onto that emotional distress, that wreck, then you are able to build stability, because you're no longer afraid to be honest about it. Maybe if that's true, if you know, part of that, you know, staying in places where a foundation is impossible, where stability is impossible, maybe part of that was a lack of honesty. Well, maybe now you get to be honest because you want to be, and you want to surround yourself with people who are honest and who are willing to stay and build a foundation, not run away like this Knight of Swords reversed, literally facing away from you, from the center, from this whole spread. Again, this is a general reading, so if any of that was a little too heady, if you wanted more details, please reach out. Let's work together. I hope that helped. Bye. Hello, and welcome to this, your reading. This is for those of you who are drawn to the Six of Swords card. And I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for tuning in with me for this message on what lurks in the shadows, what's waiting there for you in the dark, waiting for you to face it. And it's not meant to be something scary or threatening or, you know, something that we should be afraid of. It's rather something that we need to face in order to continue our growth, to continue our path. It's what's standing in our way without us being able to see it. And I also want to say that I do kind of struggle with these cards. They're a lot bigger than the ones that I'm used to handling. And so I do struggle to lay them out flat, as you can see here. Please don't make fun of me. We have here for you the Four of Pentacles reversed. Okay, a lack of foundation, very good, or not really, starting off strong. The Tower reversed. Okay, we're really starting off strong then. All right. We have the King of Pentacles. All right. Then we have the Queen of Wands. Okay. And then we have the Eight of Swords reversed. This is pretty clear cut. Okay. So with the Four of Pentacles reversed, let's hop into the reversals first, and then we'll hop into what's up with the two monarchs here. We've got the Four of Pentacles reversed attached to the Tower reversed. And both of these two cards, especially like the Four of Pentacles reversed and the Tower, go very well together, because the Four of Pentacles reversed is about a lack of foundation. It's a place where stability is not possible. And the tower upwards is about the moment when it all comes crumbling down because we have built something upon which something cannot be built because there is no sturdy foundation. Reversed, then, the tower speaks of a maintenance and upkeeping. Rather, let me word it differently. The tower reversed speaks to us forcing the tower, holding the tower up against its will to fall and crumble, because the tower is about it crumbling down. The tower is about destruction and something being destroyed, rather. And it's always, the tower is always about a destruction that needs to happen. It's not about the chaotic destruction that comes in and it's a tragedy. It's something that, you know, does impede on our resources, on our growth. No, that's not what the tower is about. It can be, but I'm not reading it that way right here, right now, because right now we're talking about what's lurking underneath the surface. And attached to all the cards that it is here in this reading, I'm not seeing it so much as a mundane type of destruction that's going to impede on, again, your resources. What I mean by that is, like, I don't know, a car crash or something where you have to, like, pay out to get it fixed. It's that type of destruction. Rather, it's like the big picture, universal, internal type of destruction. Whatever that might be for you. So a truth that might have, or rather, you know, it's a lie that was revealed to you. The tower moment is when that lie is revealed to you and that truth was built upon a foundation of lies and then it came on crumbling down. That's one tower moment. Another is when we acknowledge that something isn't good for us, and in acknowledging it, it's not that the acknowledgement automatically destroys that thing that's not good for you, but rather the acknowledgement of that destroys the illusion you were living under, where it was okay for this thing to stand even though there was no foundation for it to stand upon. And so reversed again, the tower is you refusing all of that, refusing the clarity, refusing the truth, refusing the acknowledgement that there is something standing that shouldn't be standing. You're holding it up even though it's trying to fall, even though it's crumbling, even though the universe has come to take it down. You are in all of your faculties trying to keep this tower standing. And it's not just you, it's who you are involved in this situation with, because there are two people involved. That's why there's two court cards. So yes, this is obviously a relationship. Now, the degrees of intensity of that relationship really depends on you and your situation. This, of course, can be romantic. This can be a partnership. This can be a friendship. This can be a coworker. This can be just anywhere. And honestly, since we're talking about, again, what's lurking in the shadows, this might just be the way that you hold partnership with other people. You hold bonds with other people. So you can be represented here either by the King of Pentacles or the Queen of Wands, and then the other, whichever one represents you, the other one represents the other party, whether it's someone specific or just, again, how you hold partnership with other people, bonds with other people, relationships, etc. I'll get to that in a second. Again, to kind of trying to cover the reversals first. And I want to come back to the tower. Just wanted to kind of talk about how its reversal coming up here is indicating you holding up something that is meant to crumble down. At the end, we have the Eight of Swords reversed. And this is a beautiful reversal because it's basically, essentially, total liberty and the clarity required for that total liberty. Because upwards, it speaks of an oppression that doesn't really exist. It's a self-made oppression. And when an oppression is self-made, then it can be taken down by the self, by ourselves. And it kind of speaks to us staying in places where we feel like we are trapped. But when we actually get to thinking about it and strategizing and start planning a way to get out, we realize it wasn't all that difficult. We were always ready, or maybe not always, but we have been ready to exit this situation. So those reversals is giving me that indication of you coming to terms, you realizing that the way, either, again, if this is a specific relationship we're talking about here, then the reversals are indicating your realization that this thing isn't working the way that it stands right now. And that either you or the other person, or both of you together, most likely both of you together, need to come up with a way to either salvage what's possible, if possible, or just completely exit. And given the 8 of Swords there at the end reverse does indicate to me an exit on both parts. Because, and especially because, we have 2 monarchs here. So this isn't just someone who's better than the other person, or, you know, more mature, or whatever the case might be, where someone's in the wrong. And if someone is in the wrong, you know, that's on you to figure out. But what I'm seeing here with 2 monarchs is that these are 2 people who as individuals can create a lot, are capable of a lot. But together, because you guys are together, there's this issue that you guys are dealing with where you guys are maintaining this thing that shouldn't really been standing, and it is impeding on both of your capacities to do the things that you need to do. If you are the King of Pentacles, then you are the type of person who likes stability, who likes to build. You like having something secure. You like knowing that how that person feels, whether, again, it's romantic or otherwise. You like knowing what's in their head. You like being clear about your intentions. You like knowing their intentions. You like clarity, everything above board. Not so much that you like everything done right, although that can be true, but rather you just like for everything to be upfront. No games, no like beating around the bush, just upfront and face value. What's at face value? And the Queen of Wands, it's not so much that it's incompatible with that energy. It's more so that she's concerned with energy, with more so her own energy, the way that she can command power and attention, because the wands are about power, about fire, and fire can be our inner fire, what fuels us, what excites us, our passions, and our motivation, right? Because motivation is our inner fire. It can be about spirit, and so about power. And the Queen of Wands really revels in that, likes knowing how much power they have, and it's not in a manipulative type of way. It's just that they recognize what it is that they can do. And so together you guys might make a really good couple, because one likes stability, one likes to build things, while the other one likes to hone in on fire, on creating more, on expanding, on really defining what it means to be powerful. And so someone who is interested in defining power for themselves and those around them, and someone who likes to build things, this is a really good pairing. But, and this is probably why you guys are maintaining this, because on paper, on the surface level, everything looks really good, everything's great. However, the Tower is still here. The 4 of Pentacles reversed is still here. This lack of foundation exists. And there is a destruction that is happening, whether you guys want to acknowledge it or not. Maybe there is something salvageable here, again, because this is a really strong pair. We're getting 2 monarchs, a king and a queen. And it's not that I read gender into these readings. I don't like to do that. But, I mean, I would have gotten that with any 2 monarchs, right? But it's just like we have 2 monarchs, 2 equals, who can build something together, but who in this situation can't, because of that lack of foundation here in the past, in the first few cards, in the first couple of cards. And in the future, we have this indication of exiting. It's almost like if we're not addressing this, then there is no possibility for this to continue. If you guys really do value what you guys have going together, then this thing that is being destroyed, that needs to fall away, it needs to be addressed. The Tower upwards, what I really love about the Tower in this deck is the allusions to time and astrology. Time we have because of the illusions of astrology with the sun and that storm there, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's also reflected in the contrast of youth and kind of old age between the 2 characters. And so I see a passage of time there. But then also, astrology is a way of keeping time. And so that's there too. And I'm getting astrology from the fact that this Tower card has the sun in it. The lightning bolt we see here is pretty common in a lot of tarot decks with the tower almost always having that lightning bolt that comes and strikes and pierces the tower open. But in this deck, we have the sun, and it's almost like this storm and the lightning is emanating from the sun. And so it kind of gives this idea of cosmic energy, astrological energy kind of coming in to create this destruction. And so, again, it's that idea that this destruction needs to happen. It's something that's fated. It's something it's written in the stars, so to speak. And it coming up again, reversed is you kind of fighting the stars, fighting fate, you going against what is naturally happening for the sake of maintaining this really strong relationship, this really strong bond. And fair enough, I do see how strong this bond is. I get it. It's a good partnership. And if there is something to salvage, then I do think it's worth it. But it is very clearly cut here how if it isn't addressed, if we continue to ignore this destruction moment, this tower moment, that's not really a way for you to build a future if you think about it. Because if you are continuously going to ignore the truth around you, then you're really building your relationship and your life around lies. And I mean, it's not like I'm not trying to be all preachy and be like, you can't build a relationship on lies. I mean, who am I to say, whatever, have it your own way. However, I can say with full confidence that something built upon the truth is going to stand the test of time. I can't say that confidently about something built with lies. If all of this, any of this felt a little heady, if you want clarification, if you want to dive deeper into this or any other topic, please reach out for a reading. I hope what I had here for you today helped. Best of luck. Hello and welcome to your reading. This is for those of you who are drawn to the Seven of Wands. And I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for tuning in with me for this message on what's lurking in the shadows, what's waiting in the darkness for you to face it. And this isn't something we should be afraid of or something that we should feel threatened by. Rather, this is something that we need to face in order to continue our growth, in order to continue on our journey. This is an obstacle that we aren't seeing that we now need to see. And I also want to say that these cards are a lot bigger than the ones that I'm used to handling. And so I do kind of struggle with kind of shuffling them and kind of laying them out flat, as you can kind of see here. Please don't make fun of me. We have here for you the Five of Cups. So a moment of mourning, followed by the Ace of Wands. Very nice. Okay, moving away from that period. We have Death right there in the center of the spread. Very nice combination with the Five of Cups. We have the Six of Cups reversed. Beautiful. And finally, we have the Queen of Swords reversed. Lovely. Alright, so what's lurking underneath the surface for you is something quite remarkable. It's change, it's transformation, it's the acceptance of a new existence, a new way of experiencing your life, a transformation. And it has to do with pain of the past. So what's beautiful is that we have a progression in Cups cards. So we have the Five of Cups and then the Six of Cups after, and the Six of Cups being reversed, which is a really nice progression, and we'll start there. So the Five of Cups upwards is about taking the proper time to heal, allotting the time and prioritizing mourning something, and whatever that might be. So it could be like an actual death, because we have death here in the middle. So it could be someone that died. It could be a loss that you went through. Or it could be like the death of a relationship, right? Whatever the case, there is this idea in the Five of Cups of taking the proper time to mourn something so that you can then move on. And the Six of Cups upwards is about nostalgia. It's about looking into the past, and there is a little bit of a danger of getting stuck there, because we're looking to the past and it's almost like we're spending time in the past. So it is about nostalgia, but then reversed, it's a rejection of that. We are no longer nostalgic. We understand that the past is just that. It's a memory. It's not something for us to immerse ourselves in. It's something for us to just look at, like a picture. You know, memories can be as simple as like looking at a picture, or it can be as immersive as losing ourselves in that moment, in those feelings, and then we get stuck in a rut. And so the Six of Cups reversed is a rejection of that. It's understanding that we have gotten stuck there. We've spent enough time here, lingering and then healing from it, and now mourning it with the Five of Cups. And now we're ready for the new beginning, which is reflected both by the Ace of Wands and Death. All aces are new beginnings. They're all gifts from the universe. And wands are about passion and fire, our inner fire, so our motivations and how we kind of command our energy and power. So like it can be as simple as commanding attention when we go into a room. That's something that like fire can indicate. Some people have that inner fire where anywhere you go, you have that attention drawn to you. Magnetism, that's reflected in the wands. Or just power in your talent, you know, just how good you are at something. And so wands reflects all of that. Ace of Wands then is kind of a either something new in regards to that, or a new lease on something to do with that. What I mean by that is either a new passion or a passion reignited. And what's interesting, what really drew my attention is, one, how sharp the wand seems to be, and on both ends. And how the arrow that Death carries doesn't look so much like an arrow as much as it does a wand. And it's almost like this new beginning, this fire, this thing that lights a fire in you, or that reignites a fire in you, is what is helping you to shoot out of this kind of process. Because the process I'm seeing is from the Five of Cups into the Six of Cups, from mourning something into the beautiful understanding that we are ready to move from the past and leave it there, and only look at it moving forward as a memory, as a picture, and not as something that we're going to move into and linger on and lose ourselves in. We're not going to do that anymore. And I kind of see like Death and the Ace of Wands kind of quote unquote stuck between the 5 and 6, stuck between that process. It's like they are telling the story of what the process between 5 of Cups onto the Six of Cups reverse looks like. It's embracing, or rather acknowledging and embracing, really fully grasping onto this thing that reignites you. And I really do feel like it's a reigniting type of thing that comes a lot stronger than igniting, but igniting can be true also. And that's what's going to help you shoot out of this process, shoot out of the past and out of this thing that you're doing where you're lingering there. And finally move out of who it is that you've become in this place of mourning, in this place of where you've lingered in the past, which is someone hardened, someone not willing to accept anything new, someone who has allowed the pain and disappointment or anger, whatever it is, from this thing in the past that you're mourning and is now over, allowing for those things to paint who you are today, and, you know, remaining closed, remaining bitter. The Queen of Swords reversed is bitter. She's not a happy person. She is not willing to endure anything new because she's had enough. And this is what you're also rejecting. This is also what is coming to an end because of this new thing that you are holding onto and using to shoot out of this process. So, what's lurking underneath, or rather what's lurking in the shadows, is that golden ticket out of this place of mourning, out of this dark place where you feel like, okay, that thing is over and I'm so ready for something new. I'm so ready for fire to come back into my life. Well, the fire is there within you. It's up to you to hold on to it and then shoot that and follow that where it leads you, but that is going to require for you to leave the past where it is, death. It requires for this place that you're at, the Queen of Swords and reversed energy, where you are in the process of mourning and you are still in some form still attached to it because you are mourning it, right? Well, if you want for new things, then accept that those things are over and follow what is new to wherever it's going to guide you. If you would like to get deeper into any of the meanings of these cards, if you want to get your own reading, which of course can be a lot more elaborate because this is general and so I have to kind of keep it general, please reach out. Let's work together. Let's do a reading. I hope what I had here for you today helped in some way. Bye.